Right now, we could talk about, you and I were making a list of things to talk about. I want to talk to you about the Keystone Pipeline.
Right.
I want to
Homeland Security funding that goes is up on the 27th.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big deal. You got to deal with this.
And we got an AUMF, that's Authorization of Military Force, the President has already submitted, and now we go to a committee to be discussed and reworked, I hope.
Can we start though with the executive order by President Obama? He basically couldn't get support in Congress for what he wanted to do with illegal aliens, and so he put his own executive order
Absolutely.
through. And now this week, a judge has shot that down.
Down in Texas.
Yeah, tell us about that and where you are.
Well, you and I both know, and your listeners and viewers know as well, that the President said 22 times, I do not have the authority to issue a presidential order to make these people here who have been here for years legal, and yet he did it. So that upset many of us in Congress. It upset the American people that a president would violate his constitutional oath and just with a stroke of a pen say you're here illegally, but now you're legal. So this federal judge down in Texas, and I don't know which level, there are different levels of federal courts, and he came out and said that the president did not have that authority. So now what this will do is to put it into the court system, and I'm sure that Eric Holder, who I understand is a friend of yours, that Eric Holder will challenge through the legal process the ruling of the judge.
Yes, yes.
Were y'all in school together?
No, no. But he is a good friend of your colleague, G.K. Butterfield.
Well, I think that is true.
I will say this, when it comes to Eric Holder, we haven't talked about this on the show, but I'm actually going to try to get Sonny McLaughlin, a local lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Here. You know about this case?
No.
There's a local lawyer in Greenville, an old friend of mine, Sonny McLaughlin, a good Democrat.
I know Sonny. He's a great guy.
Sonny is a great guy. Sonny just defended a gentleman in Washington, North Carolina, on a housing case where it was almost a complete and utter shakedown of a good landlord on some public housing over there, and they were shaking the guy down, and they actually went to court, and Sonny, I think, beat Eric Holder and the Justice Department in the first time they've ever lost a federal housing case in court. And Sonny was
quite a victory then.
I actually am talking to Sean Hannity about doing a piece on his radio show or on Fox News on it.
He really should.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Sonny, and obviously he's following the rule of law, which sometimes the administration does not do, by the way.
Exactly. All right, so this Homeland Security funding will come to an end at the end of this month. What is Congress going to do with this?
Well, if you remember, I brought the Cromabus bill here in December.
Yes.
It was on the ribbon. You and I stood up. It was
I got a lot of comments on Facebook on that. 1,606
pages. In that bill, which I did not vote for, it said that the Homeland Security would be funded until February the 27th.
Yeah.
So that's coming up next week. And I would imagine, of course, the administration has been saying that how with all this terrorism going on around the world, how can you not fund Homeland Security? Well, in all honesty, that the Homeland Security, the employees will work. I have a feeling that McConnell and Boehner have been talking, I hope they have been, to see if there's some type of resolution. There are many of us who believe that what they will do is some type of continuing resolution for 30 days or 60 days.
Which is always what they do.
Well, that's exactly.
Why does that always happen?
Why are you talking about, right? No, I'm just joking. But no, that's probably what they would do. But Henry, for me personally, I just have to say this. I don't have anything against the president personally, but his policies are just not good for this country. And when you have a president that has just with a stroke of a pen made people who violated our law and came here illegally legal, it's just got to be challenged. We cannot continue to let this happen, or if we do, we don't need to have a Congress because we are inept. We have to challenge it.
And so this will be maybe the first real test for the new Congress.
I think it will be. The 27th is next week, I believe, and you're either going to do a continuing resolution or you're not going to do it. And
Would you support that?
it depends on what it does. I'll be very honest with you. I'm getting where if I can't read, and with the help of my staff, if I can't read what I'm voting on, I'm stop voting for it. I'm just not going to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we had two bills last week. They were what they call tax extenders. One increased the debt by $2.2 billion over a 10-year period of time. The other extended over a 10-year period of time, raised the debt by $79 billion. I didn't vote for either one of them. I mean, I am sick and tired of doing this to your grandchildren and the other people's grandchildren. We're just spending money that we don't have. And that's one reason on this. I made the statement in a committee. I asked Secretary Hagel, of course, he's now retired. I said, Mr. Secretary, should we be paying for these wars now or let our grandchildren pay for them next 40 years? He said to me, Congressman, that's up to you in the Congress. I knew he would answer me that way. But he's a former senator. He knows I am right. You can't keep spending money you don't have. Pay for it now. It's not fair for our grandchildren to pay for it tomorrow because they won't be able to afford it.
Yeah. How about this? How about this authorization for the use of military force?
The president submitted the AUMF, its authorization of military force. He wants to let this AUMF substitute for the 2002 AUMF, which dealt strictly with Iraq. The AUMF that we gave President Bush to deal with Afghanistan would still be in play. But he wants to, this proposal that he is making would repeal the 2002 AUMF for Iraq. And what I have seen is just too vague. It goes to a committee, it goes to the House Committee on Foreign Relations, and they will work the bill and then bring it to the floor. I hope we also, on the Armed Services Committee, will get a chance to look at the proposal.
Well, you know, why would we discontinue the authorization for Iraq with all this going on? You got the Syrian situation. There's so much going on in the Middle East. What's the benefit to the American taxpayer, the American people, to discontinue that?
Well, what he wants is wants Congress to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
See, he's going back on what President Bush had in 2002.
Right.
He wants Congress to make a statement. He wants Congress to join it. The problem is what he has proposed is too vague. It's almost like you give him a blank check. There's no end to it.
Right.
And when your grandson is our age, or your age, you're much younger than I am. But the point is, we've got to have a strategy to win and the strategy to end, or it goes on and on.
You just handed me, every time you come here, you hand me one of these documents that shows what the public debt is.
Yeah.
The public debt as of yesterday, February 18th, 2015, the federal debt, $18,130,900,000,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
$18,130,959,000,000.
Henry, we just hit $18 trillion in debt in mid-December. We just hit it. Look at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I'm saying we've got to pay for it now. We spend, let's say the bombing in Iraq or wherever it might be, is $300,000 an hour. $300,000 an hour to drop bombs for an hour. That's why there are those of us who are more conservative and more libertarian say we have to have benchmarks in an AUMF. We have to know what we're trying to achieve. We cannot keep going down this road that has no end to it.
You know, this is essentially, you and I were talking about during the break, a good friend of mine in Raleigh is working the state right now, trying to develop a statewide network for Jeb Bush. And, you know, I won't call her name, although she's been in the media, and she's a good friend of mine, and she's working me to try to get me on the Jeb Bush train and try to get North Carolina Republicans to get behind Jeb Bush. And I just can't quite get there right now. And so, you know, the guy that I have liked more than anybody else is your friend Rand Paul. And I just got to say that, you know, there was a time when I wasn't sure. I thought Rand Paul was electable as president of the United States, but, you know, you and I were just talking about, he's new, he's exciting, he's got fresh ideas, he's young, he's got a lot of the tools. He's not quite as far out there as his dad.
No, right.
And you know, it's funny. I noticed yesterday some of the Hollywood types. You know, Vince Vaughn, the famous actor,
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn,
absolutely.
came out and he is. I mean, when you have the Hollywood types coming out supporting Rand Paul, he came out as a Rand Paul supporter this week. And of course, you had Senator Paul here in Greenville before Christmas. I'm beginning to think that Rand Paul might catch fire here in the next few months.
Well, Henry, I think what we, as a Republican, what we need is somebody that brings excitement to the campaign like Reagan did.
Yep.
And I think Jeb Bush was a good governor. I think he's probably qualified to be the president, but he doesn't bring the excitement that a Rand Paul or Ted Cruz could bring to the campaign. Hillary Clinton is going to have all the money that she needs. She's going to have the support from those groups that normally support the Democrats or the Clintons. And I think Rand Paul would bring excitement to the campaign. And if you want to energize America, do what Reagan did. You've got to have the people that believe sincerely that their president understands America is in deep trouble. How do we fix the problems? Do we fix them overnight? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But will you, as president, get us on the right road to get this country moving in the right direction? That's what Rand Paul brings to the debate.
He's hard not to like. He's personable, young, good-looking guy, and got some great ideas, I think. And you know, even though he is generally, I think, identified with the libertarian angle of the party, which a lot of us are.
Right.
You know, the question's always been, can he become centrist enough to win a general election if he were to win the primary? And that's it's going to be the real question about Rand Paul. But I mean, he's a smart guy, and I think he's got a shot this time around. I think people are really going to, when the debates begin and all the things start to happen and people start to examine the candidates, I think Rand Paul's going to be right there.
Henry, I think your assessment is exactly correct, because what Rand will bring is a different hope and dream for America, but also tell you how to make that dream a reality.
Yeah.
That's what I think he will bring to the debate. I'm really excited about where he is right now. I mean, it's still early. I mean,
Right.
Obviously your friend in Raleigh is doing what she needs to do for her candidate to
Yeah.
start raising the money. That's what I think is wrong with politics, but it's the way it is. I can't change it, okay? But what I think is that Rand Paul is putting together his foundation, meaning the people who are going to help him move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm real excited about what I think he's going to bring to the debate, not just for the Republican Party, but for our nation.
Well, I'm going to. I've had you were nice enough to get Rand Paul on the show here, and I'd love to have him back. By the way, if you run into him in the hallway up there, let him know that we'd like to talk to him again. But you know, we're going to have Jeb Bush on the show. We're going to give him an audience and let him have an opportunity.
Is he going to be in the studio?
You know, he might be. You know, I get the feeling that we're about to start seeing all of them in North Carolina. Don't you? I think North Carolina is going to be. I really believe that North Carolina is going to be ground zero for the primary. As long as we continue. Now, I was talking to some folks this week, Carl Mishka, who is big, you know Carl, down in New Bern. Carl was telling me, you know, that they're still talking about having an early primary, but I guess the Republican, the National Republican Committee is saying you've got to have it, you got to at least get it 2 weeks away from South Carolina.
Right.
So there's some negotiating going on right now, and so, you know, I think the original idea was to have the North Carolina presidential primary in mid-February next year, right about right now. But it looks like it might now be early March. But still, if that's the case, North Carolina will be the first top 10 state in the country to have a presidential primary next year.
It will be important to have it in March because, again, North Carolina is a major player in the national picture. There's no question about it.
Right.
And everybody sees North Carolina as a purple state. So again, in presidential elections, and so then as we move into North Carolina is going to be a major player in the elections of 2016. No
If that
question about
happens,
it.
I will be so giddy you will not be able to contain my excitement. To have all these guys, you ask me if they're going to be in the studio. I think they're going to be begging us to be in the studio, don't you?
Well,
I think they're going to be coming through North Carolina and Eastern North Carolina on a day-to-day basis. I really
think you're
do.
exactly right, and I'm going to reach out to Rand Paul and tell him or his staffer that you're willing to get him on if he could call in one day.
You better tell him that there's a little network being formed for Jeb Bush in North Carolina. I don't know how successful it is, but
I'll tell him, Henry, that you still are not committed.
No, I didn't. Well, you can tell him I'm leaning because my good friend, the congressman. By the way, thank goodness for your staff. Your staff, Catherine Jordan on your staff has just texted me and emailed me to say that you were wrong about the date. It is March the 12th.
Right.
It is the March. So the Walter Jones birthday event in Farmville, which was scheduled for tonight, has been moved to March the 12th. And I guess people can still respond and come if you were not able to come tonight.
If they would like. And
you had some great guests. I know you had Senator Berger was going to be there, and you had some other folks.
We've got quite a few of the legislators who had committed to come down tonight, obviously. And I would think, depending on their schedule, that they still would come in March. And I do appreciate what our legislators. We've got Brian Brown here, and they're doing a tough job in Raleigh, just like we are in Washington, and they're doing a good job.
We got like 2 minutes left. Anything else on your agenda you want to talk to your constituents about this morning?
Henry, I just want people to know that there are those of us in Washington who do the best job we can to stay in touch. I got a great staff. We met yesterday with the Park Service Superintendent from Dare County. He drove down to Greenville just to give me an update on some of the issues that are important, not only to the people of Dare County, but those who visit the beaches. And I was very encouraged with the attitude that they have. They want to work with the people based on the law. They have a responsibility to enforce the law, but they're willing to try to work to make opportunities better for the people that come to that part of our state.
No doubt about it. Thank you for all you do.
Thank
By
you
the way,
for
I just got a text from the athletic director at East Carolina, Jeff Comfort, who wanted me to remind you that the Pirates have always known that North Carolina is a purple state.
I love that. Thank you, Jeff. That's a home run for the Pirates. Thank you.
No doubt. Thank you, Congressman. Good to see you. Well, here you go. Let's fist bump.
There you go.
I don't want to give you my germs.